Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. Sorry that I haven't posted in a while. I've been really busy with working on some projects. I've got a couple production launches coming up within the next couple weeks here, so it's been a little bit hectic trying to get everything wrapped up for those. But here we are. I'm going to start filming again, making more videos, and yeah, I'm excited to be back. So today I want to talk about a new side project that I'm starting, Votera.io. So what this project is going to be is a way to track user feedback throughout your application. Now, think of it as something like Canny.io. I've used Canny in a couple different projects, and I like it as a tool. There's a couple things that I would like to have personally. So things like being able to post reviews, right? And then, show those reviews maybe on a landing page, just stuff like that. So I'm going to start working on this, and I'm going to be sharing my journey along as I do it. So I'm still in the initial planning phases right now. I haven't started to code anything yet, but I do have my tech stack figured out. So this is a pretty normal tech stack for me. We're going to go Next 14 using the app router, Drizzle as my ORM with Postgres as the database. I did consider using something like PlanetScale, but I did not want to start paying $40 a month for my local dev, right, until this got into production, and trying to set up a local instance or a local simulated version of it, right, with Drizzle was just not working. So I'm going to go with Postgres, most likely host this database on AWS. Styling, Tailwind and ShadCN. There's no real reason for me to do anything else at this point. I really like this combination, and it lets me move really quickly when I'm building UIs, which is super important because I'm not a designer. So for auth, I was really conflicted on this bit, and eventually I said I'm just going to go with next auth. The reason is Lucia is being deprecated in, I believe, 6 months. It's a 6-month timeline to get off of it, but it is being deprecated. I did really like working with Lucia auth, but I've done more projects with NextAuth. I know how to set up email password login with it. Google and GitHub are super easy to drop in. I'm more familiar with it. I know it's not going to be deprecated, and I won't have to make any changes to it to support all of these in the future. I also don't want to use a hosted service like Clerk. I like having all of my user information in my own database and being able to have a finer grain of control over that, right? Hosting, Vercel, it's Next.js. I don't have a reason to not host on Vercel, and I'm going to be using Cloudflare R2 for file storage and Resend for emails. So the other thing I've started working on with this project is my database schema, and I'm trying to keep it very simple for the time being and only support core features. And the most core feature that I have to support is a user can post feedback to some kind of board, right? So obviously I need some kind of user schema. So I have a user table, account table, session table. These are next auth tables that are used for like OAuth and stuff. And this user password table. Now, what I see a lot of people do is they'll put password hash on this table, and that's totally fine. You can do that. But this is a pattern that I've started adopting in my own applications. And the reason is, this would be probably a bigger foot gun if I was using Prisma than Drizzle, but it can be really easy to let your hash slip into your query if you're not being careful, right? You don't want this data when you query your user. So it's just a little bit of extra security. This is only going to be used when the user logs in with a password and when they update their password. That's the only time this information is going to get touched. Just putting it in its own table gives you a little bit of extra security. and then I can just query this table all day, every day, and not have to worry about the hash being exposed. So we have this idea of a workspace within the application. Think of it like a project, right? Like I can come in here and I could create a workspace for Votra, right? And users would be able to, or I'm sorry, admins, right? Like application admins would be able to come in here and configure settings, add other users to be able to manage the workspace, things like that. Within the workspace, I haven't created the table for this yet or fit it into the schema, but essentially being able to create a board. And you could create a board for general feedback, for issues. You could create, potentially in the future, if you have companies that are signing up, you could have boards for specific companies that only those users can access, right? So a board is basically just a grouping of feedback. Now, I may add, and probably will add, things like being able to categorize feedback or tag feedback. So, you could have a board that's like bugs and then put it in a category of, oh, I don't know, like a UI bug, right? Or like a backend bug, if you know where it is, or tag it as something like won't fix, right? That kind of stuff. So that will all be later. I still have to add the board schema in here and do that, but I'll get around to it at some point. So the other key part of this schema is a post, and a post is what you will push to a board as feedback. I really could have called this feedback. I think post may be a little bit of a better name. I'm kind of back and forth on it, but because you technically post feedback. Semantics. So when you create a post, you give it a title and a description, and then there is a public URL. And what that means is there is going to be a URL that is available for everybody to view and see the post. Now, I'm probably going to add some kind of like private flag on here. So, you can mark something as not wanting to be seen like on the public internet. But essentially, similar to how Canny does it, is you have a like the admin portal, and then you have the public facing site, right? So workspace users and admins have access to the admin side and can manage the workspace and update posts and do things to it. On the public side, the public facing site, you're able to create and view posts. So that public URL is what gets created when you create a post as a non-workspace user, like just a random application user, if that makes any sense. So this is not going to be in version 1, but, just kind of thinking for the future, being able to comment on posts. I would like to do some sort of like reaction system. Like I really like how Hashnode has reactions to things. So maybe some kind of reaction system like that, or like an upvote, downvote kind of thing, like dislike. Just if somebody has some kind of feature request that gets a lot of upvotes or gets a lot of positive feedback, or, there's a bug that gets a lot of traction as needing to get fixed, it would be nice to be able to track that, right? Eventually, comments could also have feedback similar to how posts do. So if somebody posts something, I haven't gotten that far into figuring that bit out yet. But essentially the core flow is going to be create your account, create a workspace, allow users to post feedback to a board within your workspace. And that's really going to be version 1. There's a lot of different ways this could go. I mentioned earlier that I wanted to add like reviews. So I'll get around to that maybe at some point, being able to do like a out of 5, right? And then have an actual review that would be just like a special post. That's not tied to any board, or maybe tied to a special reviews board. I don't know yet. Still figuring that part out. Still early enough where I can play with this schema and get it in a way that I'm happy with. Now, the other part about this project that I am really excited and interested in playing with is the idea of using Vercel platforms. And this is a sample repository that has basically multi-tenant support and admin, things like that. What's cool is with Next.js routing is you can actually have subdomains that just get mapped to your project, and they can act as independent sites. So what this would allow you to do is customize your public facing site to your application's branding. It would allow you to potentially have your own URLs in the future, right? So this is something I'm super excited to try and use. I know dub.co does it as well with its links. You can actually do subdomains on there as well in a similar setup. Super excited to be able to play with this. The other thing that I'm excited about being able to do with this project is I've been wanting to build something like this for a while. I love tools like cal.com and dub. What I really like is the model that you can have a commercial product that users can sign up and use either as an individual user or a company, but if you want to, you can self-host. And your community can contribute to your code base, and I really, really like that. I've used Cal and Dub's repositories as starting points for a lot of more complicated Next setups for a while now, and they've been really, really great sources to use when setting up complicated systems like that. So that's pretty much all I have today. Again, project is super, super early on still planning the tables. I think I have the core feature of what I want. Still got a lot of setup to do. Code side, I've got the repository set up. It is not public yet, but it is set up. It is set up using Turbo Repo and PNPM to manage the packages because it is a mono repo. I'll probably do another video just talking about the actual project structure and how I'm doing things on that side. But yeah, I'm excited to start working on this. I'm excited to share progress and feedback and updates with you as it goes. So if you are interested in this project and want to see where it goes, make sure you like this video and hit that subscribe button. Thanks, and I'll see you all in the next one.